Well, Monday, December 5, 2022, this is a historic day in history. It was on this date, December 5 in 1933, that prohibition for alcoholic beverages in America came to an end when the Cullen-Harrison Act repealed prohibition for beer 9 months earlier than for other alcohol products. The Beer Institute is a premier trade association that represents America's brewers and importers and industry suppliers, and they are going to be marking this event this week, the 89th anniversary of Repeal Day. Alex Davidson is Director of Public Affairs at the Beer Institute. He is with us this morning on WKZO. Good morning.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Doing well, Alex. Thanks so much for joining us. So is the party on this week for you at the Beer Institute?
The party is definitely on this week. So we have a really action-packed week. We've got an event to help educate lawmakers and staff tomorrow night. We have a Christmas party later in the week. But, it's just a really good day for all of alcohol. But as you mentioned, beer is a little special and a little unique. So today marks the 89th anniversary of all prohibition being repealed. So this day in 1933, Utah was the final state to ratify the 21st Amendment. But before that, so 9 months earlier, FDR actually signed the Cullen-Harrison Act, which allowed the sale of low-alcohol beer. And, when he signed it, he actually said, "I think this would be a good time for a beer."
Well said. Well said indeed. It would seem like beer is so popular that it wouldn't really need an advocacy organization with Congress, but you do have to work with Congress quite frequently on various issues. What issues are, I don't want to say necessarily in dispute, but in discussion with Congress? What do you need to do or to work with them about?
The beer industry is a massive industry. People, they go to a bar, they get a beer. They don't realize all of the things that go on behind the scenes. So it's a $331 billion industry. It represents 1.6% of U.S. GDP. 2 million people rely on the beer industry, whether that's for, its agriculture, its distribution, its manufacturing, its retail. And among that, that's 70,000 jobs in Michigan alone. So Michigan generates almost $10 billion in economic impact in the United States, and with that come a lot of issues. Top of mind for us right now is aluminum tariffs. When President Trump instituted aluminum tariffs in 2018, it drove up the cost of aluminum for all end users, including the beer industry, and we use 41 billion cans a year. So that's a lot of beer, and a price increase in that really makes a big difference down the line for the companies, but as well as consumers.
Aren't glass prices going up as well, Alex?
Well, with the supply chains as they are, a lot of input costs for a lot of different goods have gone up. So we're always looking for ways, working with Congress to reduce inflation, to bring down prices for consumers, and that really does involve a lot of the input costs, such as aluminum. Glass is a little more complex, but, the president instituted tariffs. The president can take away tariffs. It's a really straightforward one-for-one. And so we're just looking for that. In addition to that, we also work on tax policy. We were founded actually during the Civil War to work on tax policy. They instituted the first excise tax on beer to help fund the Union. And we've been working on tax policy ever since. We got a huge tax break in 2017 that has allowed our companies to reinvest in their people, reinvest in their companies, build out development. And, we're continuing to just re-examine any policy that would have a benefit to the industry and consumers in the end.
Alex Davidson from the Beer Institute with us on WKZO this morning as this date marks the 89th anniversary of the end of prohibition for alcoholic beverages here in America. Beer has an increasingly number of competition products out there, from the traditional hard liquor to the recent supply of seltzers and things of that nature. Does that present issues for the beer industry? Does it potentially create confusion for consumers as to exactly what kind of products they're purchasing?
I think it's both. It creates both opportunities and confusion. So, if you're a beer consumer, there's more options for consumers than ever before. You can get more beers. There's 20,000 different options in the marketplace. But at the same time, we are seeing the rise of new products. And, while that's good for consumers, it can also be confusing. And so we've seen the rise of, seltzer is technically considered beer. A lot of brewers are invested in making those, but we've also seen the rise of canned cocktails. So these are liquor-based drinks that are trying to pass as a beer product. And from our perspective, beer and liquor are just fundamentally different products. They're produced differently, they're consumed differently, the route to market is different. And we want to make sure that consumers fully understand that when you're getting a different products, what's in them. And that makes a difference.
Is the craft beer industry still thriving?
The craft beer industry, it was, astronomical growth over the last 20 years. And, it's slowed down a bit, but I think, we're seeing more brewers open than ever before. So in the, I want to say 1970s or so, there was about 50 brewers in the entire country. We're looking at more than 6,600 now, and that's in every corner of the nation. So, wherever a listener is, there's probably a brewery not too far away.
No doubt about that. We certainly know that here in Michigan. Well, raise a glass to the anniversary, 89 years ago, of the act in America, the Collin-Harrison Act, which repealed prohibition for beer. And Alex, do you have a website where people can learn more about what you do?
Sure. So if people want to learn more, they can go to beerinstitute.org, which is our main website. But if they want to learn more about the economic impact of the beer industry down to their local level, they can visit beerservesamerica.org. So that's beerinstitute.org or beerservesamerica.org.
All right. Check out both of those websites and not only learn more about the product you enjoy, but maybe find out how in the world do I get a job with the Beer Institute. That sounds really cool. But Alex, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Alex Davidson's been with us, Director of Public Affairs at the Beer Institute. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks, Ken.
On 590 and 106.9 FM, WK.